Hello there, welcome to the show. Today I'm doing the best and worst of list. This will be fairly brief. I'm just going to talk about what I thought were the best films, a few of the worst films, and just see what I thought of the year. I mean, it's not going to be in depth or anything. I've done videos on a few of these films. I'm planning to do some videos on some of the other ones. So, it'll be a very basic video. On to the list. I mean, the best film I thought of this year was Night of Cops. I mean, this is a film that was pretty badly reviewed by lots of people. It's Terrence Malick's film with Christian Bale wandering around LA and trying to find some reason for his life. It's pretty much takes place a lot in his head and what he's thinking as he tries to re-energise himself. I've done a video on this already. It's a very divisive film. A lot of people really hated this one. A lot of people said it was a glorification of LA, which one of those things that, did they see the film? The film is not a glorification. It's about trying to find, I mean, LA was a background, but it's really trying to find yourself within an environment that's feels stifling to you. It could take place in any industry, basically. It took place in LA because that's a background Malick knew, and it's a background he knew was a corrosive environment, so he used that. But it's basically about trying to find a reason for living, a reason to stay engaged with the world. So it's a terrific film, but it's one of those ones that I think will be, a few years before people appreciate it. Next was The Neon Demon. Most of these films from now on are in no particular order. I mean, Night of Cops was my favourite. Neon Demon was pretty close behind, but I still don't think it's the same level as Night of Cops. But Neon Demon is a Nicholas Winding reference film. It's about models in LA. I mean, there are similarities to Night of Cops, but it's kind of it was called a horror movie with the director, but it feels much more like a kind of fairy tale type of situation where this young model comes to LA and the people who she maybe replace and get jealous of her. There's like a fairy tale logic. Keanu Reeves is this kind of monstrous hotel owner. The models feel like witches in a way, but you can see their point of view at the same time. Everything's done very visually. There's nothing specified what anything means. You have to interpret it yourself. It's one of those experience films. I mean, it's Winding Refn's gets bashed for Only God Forgives, and this is apparently his comeback movie. But I liked Only God Forgives. I don't think you need to come back from anything. He just does these particular films that are not for everybody. He's one of those directors that makes a film not for you. Certain critics take offence at it, so he gets a lot of bashing that I don't think he always deserves. So I think he's just making films and you either like them or you don't, and that's it. And I think he lots of stuff he does is terrific. I mean, the one film I actually was less keen on than the others was Drive, which is still a very good film, but it never connected with me. That seemed to connect with a lot of other people, but some of his kind of smaller films seem to connect a lot better for people. Next up is The Arrival. The Arrival was a sci-fi movie. Denis Villeneuve's director. Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner and Forest Whitaker are the stars. It's about Amy Adams trying to interpret alien language because these aliens have arrived. She has to interpret it so that people can understand what's going on, are they a threat, what they're about. It's all about that. Is the main focus is about language and how we interpret it. It's about time and your emotions over time and what kind of choices you make if you knew where they would lead. It's a terrific film. It's very moody. It's a film but it's not for everybody. It's done really well. I mean, I'm surprised how well it is because it's such a kind of quiet personal film in a lot of ways, and it's just terrific. I mean, it's one of those rare sci-fi movies where you actually just can relax into the mood and not feel like someone's trying too hard. I mean, it's the opposite of Prometheus, which had great mood but had a thickier story. This one has a terrific story and it just is very relaxed with telling the story, and you just can really get into it. And doesn't force emotions. A lot of the emotions are done subtly, and they don't force you to feel something if you don't feel it. It's just a beautifully made film. Again, I'm not going to go into much detail about it just now, but it's terrific. I think a lot of people seem to really enjoy this one. It's one of those films that people tend to view as a nice prize success, you know, after a lot of big budget films hadn't been very good. So this one was terrific. Okay, next is Love and Friendship with Whit Stillman. Whit Stillman made a lot of great, great films in the 90s. He made Barcelona, Metropolitan, Last Days of Disco. Then disappeared for a long time before coming back with Damsels in Distress a few years ago, which was terrific. The man has not made a bad film. You know, he's one of the few directors who hasn't made something objectively bad. So this one's a nice surprise again, because it's a surprise for me because it's a Jane Austen adaptation, and I'm not the audience for that kind of thing at all. But it's done so well, and you're watching it, it's funny, but the points are made clearly. You understand why things are important and why they're not important. So the stakes are there, but it's also really terrific characters. One of the things that Austen adaptations I don't like generally is I think a lot of time they're very vague. Like, they set stuff up and you're meant to interpret them as this is important, but a lot of time the acting doesn't quite back it up. It just feels like there's a lot of politeness, but some of the subtleties are not there. They always seem to get good reviews, these kind of films, but I always think a lot of time they get away with a lot. You know, the filmmaking doesn't back up. This one's one of the ones that really back up. Another one I really liked was Sense and Sensibility years ago. Every so often there's a really good one that comes along that I think delivers on, you know, the potential. So it was nice to see. I mean, getting me watching a Jane Austen film and liking it, it's a good sign, it's a good film, because I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of movie. And this is just really well done. The acting's terrific, the script's terrific, and it builds. I mean, you set stuff up early on that you don't quite know where it's going to go, and it pays off later, and there's some really funny payoffs about what people want, what they want to do to survive. So there's lots of subtleties about how society can affect a person's life, but it's not overdone. It's just done to the right degree, so you can see the danger, but they don't hammer it home and make a monotonous experience. They make it fun, they make it interesting. So it's another terrific film by Whit Stillman. The next one is High Rise. High Rise is Ben Wheatley's adaptation of the J.G. Ballard novel. I read this novel years ago. It's a terrific novel, but it doesn't feel very filmic. It doesn't feel like there's a film there that is needing to be made. There's been lots of attempts at it. I mean, Cronenberg made Shivers, which had an echo of it. There's been a lot of films that seem to have taken bits from it, but there's never been an adaptation, and it never felt necessary, really. And this film was terrific. It really worked because it did its own thing. I mean, it's very loyal to the book, but it's still a film. It's not trying to be like... It does what Crash did and what Empire of the Sun did, which was... The adaptations are not specifically, you know, the books. You know, you can read the books and you can see the films and have different experiences. And this film does the same thing, where it seems the book is very internalised. You see things happening, but it's pretty much from the point of view of the main guy. In the film, you need to physicalise a lot of that, and it becomes a slightly broader experience. So the central character played by Tom Hiddleston's not as important. In some ways, it becomes like it becomes like a character that just starts to float after a while. It becomes a different experience than it was in the book, and that's what makes it interesting. It's sort of like how society falls apart and where you find your level. And just because he's the central character doesn't mean he's going to turn it with the best outcome. It's a lot of fun characters. Luke Evans is terrific as this macho guy that they take him as the kind of macho 70s man's man, and he has a lot of fun with that. Jeremy Irons plays the guy who built the place, and they use his kind of weird fragile coldness really well. There's lots of women characters, tons of women. Women become a lot more important than initially it appears it's going to be. It feels very macho to start with, but as you go on, you realise the women are much more important to the story than the men have realised, and they're calling a lot of the shots. I mean, that's the big thing about a lot of films I liked this year. There's a lot of films where the women tend to call the shots on the characters, and a lot of time the male characters aren't even noticing it. You know, so that's one of the fun parts of the year. That happens again in The Nice Guys, my next film I'm talking about. Shane Black's movie about two private detectives trying to find a girl who's been lost and she's involved in the porn industry. It's a character based, the story's there, but it's about the characters and how they interact. And essentially it's Ryan Gosling as a detective who's smart but who just messed up. His daughter, who tends to be the brains of the operation, and Russell Crowe is the kind of guy who can punch people and who wants to do more with his life. And again, it's a situation where the women characters define the plot, define the outcome, and tend to work out a lot of the stuff on the way, and these two idiots just blunder through it. But it's really well done. You really feel for the characters as you see what's affecting them. So it's really, even though it's sort of a buddy movie, it's really a three-hander between Crowe, Gosling, and Gosling's daughter, and it becomes about those three people trying to work out the situation, trying to define themselves in the world. It doesn't really care about the corruption and all the things that are happening. So, I mean, it's set up as a film noir in the 70s, but it's really about the characters. I mean, the funny thing is Shane Black hates the Altman version of Long Goodbye, and this film reminded me a lot of the Long Goodbye because it was a bit people not quite living up to the version of noir, the version of Private Eyes that had been projected. So that's a Shane Black version of it, even though he hates the film. Oh well. Next is Midnight Special. Midnight Special is a film. It's kind of a sci-fi movie about a kid who is with special powers, and his parents are trying to get him out of this cult. They're trying to get him to this place so that people with similar powers can take him and protect him. And so basically it means a kid can live up to his potential and be out of danger from basically the army and these cults who want to use his power for their own nefarious needs. I mean, it sounds kind of cliched. It's very much based on the early Spielberg and early John Carpenter, something like the Starman or Sugarland Express or Jewel. You know, those kind of films where it's working class people dealing with a fantastical situation. It's really terrific. I mean, all the characters work. I mean, you've got Michael Shannon's the father, Kirsten Dunst is the mother, and you basically other characters around them who are helping them or try to stop them, or who are in the middle who are trying to work out what's going on. But there's lots of details. I mean, it's one of those films you can't really talk about without giving too much away, so I'm not going to say much about it, but it's a terrific film. The atmosphere's great, it builds wonderfully. Like, certain things it takes a while to work out, certain relationships take a while to work out, but the end's a knockout. The end really works because they've kept it restrained throughout the film. They keep everything restrained into kind of realistic expectations, realistic motivations, even within a fantastical world. But then when you get to the end, something happens that's very emotional, and it really pays off because when the emotions actually start to come, it really delivers because they've been sparing before. So it's a really terrific film. Try and avoid seeing anything about it before you see it. Because it's about the experience, not the plots, but the experience of this film and these characters and them going through this journey. So that's terrific. Okay, next is Hateful Eight. It was a film released last year in America, this year here in the UK. So it counts as a 2016 film in the UK. I did a video on it last year, or earlier this year. So I'm not going to say much beyond, it still holds up after a year. It's a terrific film. I thought it was much better than Django Unchained. It felt nice and contained. The characters felt strong. The motivations, how everything's evolved, felt strong. The payoff was terrific. And it just felt like it knew what it wanted to be. It was just that film. You know, it's basically a down and dirty, you know, Italian influenced Western. It's also influenced a lot by 50s Westerns as well. There's that kind of moodiness from the 50s. Then there's the kind of Italian Western cynicism about a lot of the values that were suggested by American Westerns, but the Italians, because they came through World War II and fascism and stuff, and what happened afterwards with communism and all that stuff, they had complete cynicism about all that kind of stuff, so it was influenced by that as well. So you've got post-war and there's lots of opinions, lots of cynicism, and no one's entirely right or wrong about the opinion. They're just characters. So for instance, you've got Walton Goggins, who plays a character from the South, and you think he would be the most evil person in the film, but he's not, because as the film goes on, you start to see that he was influenced by his society. As a person himself, he's not actually that bad. He's not terrific either, but he's not actually that bad, but a lot of it was influenced by society. Then you've other characters who you'd expect better from, who turn out to be a lot more cynical, and so there's lots of nice details. Everything switches around from what the cliches would say they would have to be. So it's a terrific film. I think it's one of Tarantino's strongest for a long time. It's one I've enjoyed most since, Kill Bill 2. It just feels a really strong film, and I'm hoping it goes in that direction a bit more, because it seems to be much more of a strength. Okay, next is Hunt for the Wilder People. I'm not even pronouncing the name of the director. The guy's doing Thor 3. I cannot pronounce his name. Taki Wiki or something like that. Sam Neill stars in it as a guy him and his wife foster this kid who's a bit wild, who's a bit of a fantasist. The wife dies. The boy runs away. Sam Neill goes to try and get him to give him back. Sam Neill gets injured, so they're out in the world for a while. And by the time they try and come back to society, everyone thinks Sam Neill's kidnapped him, and the social services are on to him, and all hell breaks loose. It's a funny idea, but the drama's there, the comedy's there. It's how the characters react to this horrible situation, and how these two characters, this wild kid who doesn't always know reality, and Sam Neill, who's a bit cynical and a bit broken, tries to deal with this kid. I mean, you've seen it before, but it's how it's done that really works. I mean, the details, how the acting is, how it's been cast. It's just one of those films that really just works. It's one of those films that could be just a cliched mess, but it works because all the details are there. All the building blocks from point A to point B to point C are always done slightly off from what you expect. They lead to further character points, further details that makes it feel like a real story rather than just something that's done a million times in TV. It becomes a real story. So it rises above potential cliches and becomes a very warm experience. So it's really worth seeing, as well as What We Do in the Shadows, which was the guy's first film as a director. Also brilliant, also worth seeing. Okay, next is Everybody Wants Some. This is Richard Linklater's film about basically it's baseball players, and the guy's going to college, and it's the first weekend before college starts as he hangs out with his new bros as they try and work their way around college, as they go to parties. It sounds really cliched, but again, like a lot of films I've brought up, it's like how it takes what could be a very cliched situation and turns it on its head. So these guys can be a bit rough and they can be a bit stupid, but they're aware of the fact that they can be a bit stupid. They're boys having fun, but they know they're not geniuses, and it's like it takes away a lot of the toxic element you'd get from a guys hanging out movie. It just shows the kind of sweetness and the kind of complications of a group of males, and shows you the humanity beneath what you expect from that situation. It becomes a story about these kids just trying to work themselves out as they go through life, rather than some screed about how all guys together can be horrible. It's just a very human story. It's just wonderful to watch for 2 hours, watching these guys work things out, and some of the jokes they have, some of the fun they have. how some people are very competitive. They're all kind of competitive in their own way, but some are more obvious. How a lot of them are just fairly scared and fairly new to college, and how they're dealing with people who've been there for a while and the ambitions involved. So it's a terrific movie, very human, very detailed. It's another terrific Richard Linklater film. He's one of those underrated directors around. I mean, people like Tarantino get all the glory really of, oh, his next film is brilliant. But I think just people like Linklater, I think, are really the interesting ones because they don't get every so often Linklater gets a film like Boyhood that gets great reviews, but a lot of the time it's films have gone under the radar, but they're actually really terrific films to rewatch, and they actually show you a lot about humanity below the surface or below the kind of social hype, the social expectations, and it actually is about people rather than what the latest fad is. So this is a terrific film. Hell or High Water. Hell or High Water is set in the West, set in modern times, but two guys who start robbing banks so they can pay off the debts that were created by the bank's scummery, basically. So it's kind of like an update of Bonnie and Clyde, but it's two brothers rather than lovers. It's more realistic based, and you jump between the people robbing the banks and what their expectations are, and the people who are chasing them, which is Jeff Bridges and his Indian partner. And you get to know both sides, so you get to see the point of view of the people chasing them, you get to see the point of view of the robbers, and what their expectations are. Some people, like Ben Foster plays one of the brothers who does not expect to survive the situation. He knows he's doomed, but he's doing it for the family of his brother, which is played by Chris Pine, who's also terrific. I mean, all the acting in this film is great. Jeff Bridges is getting close to retirement, which could be a cliche, but it's actually about the fact he's not ready for retirement. He's just not going to fit in at all. It's basically a death sentence for him. It's how this is a death sentence, being forced to retire, that he just can't work in real life. And his partner who he abuses. But it's like people who know each other for so long, and a lot of the jokes are not very funny, but it's part of the relationship. So it's a character base of four people and how they interact, how their lives affect each other, and the losses of what happens because what the brothers do to react against what the banks have done. And there's a lot of detail about how the banks have helped ruin this deprived area. So it's a very deep film. There's lots of really cool character details. There's not that much exposition. It's more about how people you find out stuff as they talk and as they go from place to place, and you find out what they're actually about. And basically the Chris Pine character is a lot less selfish than you think. Everyone's a lot more decent than you think, even though some days are doing heinous things. They're trying not to try to do is cause as little damage as possible as they try and get from A to B, but obviously real life gets in the way and hell breaks loose. So it's a wonderful film, really well made, and definitely worth seeing. It's really wonderful. Finally, there's Lo and Behold, which is Werner Herzog's film about the internet. It's a film made by a guy who's in his 70s about the approach in media, or how things are today and how things are evolving. And it's really interesting because he's not anti-internet, he's not pro-internet, he's just looking at it, he's just interested in it as a phenomena. Just the way he's interested in certain other things as phenomena, but as other documentaries. So, I mean, it's just really nice because it looks at the dark side without being like overdoing it. And it looks at the potential and how people are really excited by it without overdoing how wonderful it is. It's just like, this is life, this is how we're evolving as people. Where's it going to go? So it's really worth seeing because it's very different from the usual documentary about the internet and technology. A lot of the time it's got an agenda. It's either like, this is going to be great or this is going to be really troubling. And usually they stick to that point of view. In this one, it's pulled back a bit. It's like, this is a phenomena. There's good stuff, there's bad stuff. Make your own mind up. So there's less of an agenda, and it works really well. It's a wonderful film. And so those were all what I thought were the best films of the year. I mean, there were some good blockbusters out there, but there weren't that many. I thought the year was much better within, you know, the basically within the kind of indie area or the lower budget area. Just seemed to have better films. They seemed to have more interesting elements to them. I mean, there was stuff like Civil War, Deadpool, you know, Spotlight. The Adam McKay did a terrific movie, Big Short. There's lots of good films that came out who also didn't make my top list, but this year was actually one of those years where there was so much more than normal of good films. In other years, sometimes you think maybe there's 5 or 6 good films out there I really like. This year, there's tons of films I really like. I loved Rogue One. There was even some of the mediocre films I really liked. I mean, I have a soft spot for certain films like Legend of Tarzan because I liked Tarzan as a kid. Even though they weren't a good film, I still kind of liked them. So there's films like that. There was even one like Gods of Egypt, which was a disastrous. As a film, it's a disaster, but it's so entertaining. It was like this year's Jupiter Ascending, where it was a director going wrong, but it was an interesting director going wrong. So it was interesting to watch because interesting directors going wrong was more interest. It was more fun to watch because they go really far. And it's enjoyable, the results, even if they don't work conventionally, it's still way better than watching a kind of successful film. So even that, we would have made a fun disaster. Of course, there were some really bad films released. I'm just going to cover these quick because, to be honest, there were some bad films, but there weren't anything really interesting as a bad film. There was no film that made me rage at all this year. There was just some bad films I thought were meh. They're not good, but there's nothing, even on my worst films, that are like anything that I find that offensive. I mean, there was Independence Day 2, which was awful, but I knew it was going to be awful for a good year before it came out. You could just tell something was wrong with this film. It had gone wrong. Just with trailers and what you're hearing about it, just felt wrong. And it came out, and I went to see it, and it was rubbish. That's it. There was Inferno, which was not the Dario Argento brilliant Galley film. This was the Ron Howard directed, Tom Hanks starring Dan Brown adaptation with there was parts guy loses memory film like The Bourne Identity or Total Recall, part Giallo or Giallo, which is Italian horror movies with lots of expressionistic imagery but done badly, and part Save the World thing, and it was just a disaster. None of the characters worked. The best thing was the villain Ben Foster, and he was in it for like 10 minutes and he was the best part of it. And everyone, I mean, most of the performances were fine. Tom Hanks was dull. You could tell he never really fits in this character, and he's very lacklustre in this part, and I'd rather watch him do anything than do this part. Because I tend to like him in most other films, but in this part he's really boring. Everyone else was fine, they did their job, but the plot was stupid, and they were taking what was an actual social, something that should be worrying people, and made that the villain plot and didn't quite balance it out right, so you could, so it'd be scary. So you say, maybe we should do something with this. It was much more just a villain plot, and they never, you had the feeling they were trying to bring it up through this film, through this entertainment, but it wasn't balanced at all right. It just didn't work. So there was that. There was Magnificent Seven remake, which was just dumb. I mean, I'm not a fan of the original Magnificent Seven. I love the Seven Samurai, but the original Magnificent Seven wasn't that good. It's a classic film that for a lot of people, it's okay. That's it. It's John Sturges directed. I much prefer The Great Escape, which was where he seemed to bring everything together. This one, it's good, but the remake's really bad. The remake, pretty much, apart from Ethan Hawke and Vincent D'Onofrio, who basically are the two hammies actors in the film, but they work because they know they're in a ridiculous film, and they have fun with it. in a way that none of the other actors do. And you have scenes where they're doing like hijink stuff, and there's scenes of what should be horror, and the balance is just not there. It's just like no one knows what film they're making. A lot of the motivations don't work. It's just kind of dull to watch, and you just think, nah, I'm not sure about this. This is just... But that's one of the worst films of the year, and it's like, well, that's one of the worst ones. It's not that bad. It was just like, why'd you do that? Okay, Zoolander 2 and Hardcore Henry are basically the last two that I can think of. I mean, there's other stuff like War Dogs, which was just too boring to be on the list, but Hardcore Henry annoyed me, and so did Zoolander 2, because there was just a lot of excess and there was no scripts. The scripts were terrible. And whatever they did, it was like people trying to throw stuff at the screen to make up for the fact that no one had planned anything out. The Hardcore Henry did all these POV shots as if it was in a video game, but in a video game, even a dull video game, and the action is not very good, because if you actually watch most video games, you're playing it, it's fun, but what you're doing is usually a lot more fun than what was in this. It was just bits and bobs of shooting. And the end was stupid, and then it was so dumb that it just took away from any thing you were wanting to give the film. I mean, Shallow Copley was fine. He was fun as an eccentric character, but that was the only thing that was good about the film. The rest of the film was just so annoying. And I was looking forward to this one, but it was just... I was kind of game for a point of view still movie. But it had to be done right, and this one was done badly. This one was done really badly, much worse than I ever expect. And Zoolander 2 was an offence to the original. It just was... You know, the original was just a lot of fun. This one just had none of that. It was just a bad script. The ending was terrible. The last third was just so awful. And even before that, you were thinking, what? Then the last third came and you were like, Jesus, I hate this film. But again, it's like, I don't really remember them that much beyond hating them at the time. That they don't stick out as like, oh my god, what have I watched? They're not that kind of bad. This year's been not that kind of bad. It's just been lots of disappointments, lots of films that should have been better but weren't. You know, stuff like Suicide Squad or Batman v Superman, which were okay, they were just not that good. You know, they should have been better. I mean, you got some nice surprises like Star Trek Beyond, which was fun. I mean, Tim Burton did Miss Peregrine school movie, which was a lot better than people suggest it was. So there was nice surprises of films that were better than you'd expect from seeing the trailers, but there was a lot of other films that just weren't like that. They were just kind of meh. This Sphere was meh. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back in the new year with new videos. I'm going to try and do some more films that aren't as well known, basically. I did some stuff at Marvel stuff last year. I don't think they would work so well. I think stuff I do better is stuff about films that are eccentric and odder, and so I'm going to sort of focus on that from now on. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.